Welcome, it's Michael with Benzinga. Today I'm here with Andy Lytwynec. He's the Vice President of U.S. Cannabis Portfolio for Canopy Growth. Andy, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Excellent. It's great to have you here. We're really excited to talk about the Canopy Growth launching its first ever CBD vape whistle. It launched in September of 2021. There's some really exciting developments here. It's now sold online and at more than 3,500 Circle K stores across the U.S., more than 3,500. And obviously the point of this is the nicotine-free CBD vaporizer is designed for a faster route to calm and focus. So this is going to be a main point that we're discussing today. But Andy, let's start off by just talking about some of the exciting products you've launched this year. This fall, made that entry into the CBD vape space with the launch of Whistle. How's Whistle been performing thus far?
Yeah, it's really been a great success story for us. And even for me personally, I've been working on development of this product for almost 3 years. And, we've launched in a nationwide partnership with Circle K. And just in the first 3 months, we've actually risen to be the number 3 CBD vape brand across the country, as measured by IRI channels. And for us, it's really a big boost. Our behind the mood management push that we've had behind Whistle. It's something that Canopy has taken as a product and an innovation philosophy to try to use the power of cannabis, whether that's CBD or THC or terpenes, and really coming up with specific formulas to allow the consumer to manage their mood throughout the day. And Whistle is really the first foray for us. It's also been great for the category of CBD vape. Just in the last 12 months, we've seen a big growth in that category as part of total CBD sales. And Whistle's helped fuel some of that growth, whereas where we stand today for total CBD sales, over $1 in $5 spent is now in the vape category. And Whistle's been a big part of that growth.
No, fantastic. It seems like an absolutely outstanding arrangement. And obviously, I know Whistle is one of Canopy's first products for mood management. Are you finding that mood management is part of the appeal and the success that Whistle has seen so far?
Yeah, it's really core to the brand. And for us, one of the big test cases we've had is to see what the consumer really is pulling off the shelf. So as we look at it, we have a number of different mood formulas. And as we look at the offtake data coming out of Circle K, it's confirmed that the consumer is buying into that proposition. So they're not just buying one formula. We're actually seeing people buy 2 or 3 and really embracing that whole proposition to be able to either use the tune-in formula to help you focus on the task at hand, or our fade-out formula, which is designed to help you get ready for bed. We are seeing in the data people actually buying into that sort of round-the-clock mood management proposition, and it's really encouraging because it's really what the brand and the innovation is built on.
Terrific. And then switching gears just a little bit, Andy, I know you were recently promoted to VP of the U.S. Cannabis Portfolio. Congratulations, obviously in order, but tell me about your role and then what that means for Canopy's focus in the U.S. specifically.
Sure, and then thank you. It's an exciting opportunity to really lean in and focus on getting Canopy Growth ready for participating a bit more directly in the U.S. Cannabis landscape. We've made some investments already, and I think establishing a more formalized role and team to focus on preparation for U.S. permissibility, it just speaks to the importance of the market and the level of emphasis and resources Canopy is willing to put behind it. For my role specifically, I'm going to be focused on working with our corporate development team, working with our insights and innovation team to make sure that both product development and innovation we're working on in Canada or even on the U.S. CBD side is tied into strategies that will play out for U.S. cannabis, but also continue to look at opportunities out in the market to broaden the ecosystem and investments that we've already made in the space.
Wonderful. And then continuing along that vein, just as you're looking at this as a whole, can you describe for us not only the current state of the U.S. cannabis market, but also the potential as you see it in its form right now?
Yeah, we've seen state after state start to bring in some form of legalization, whether it be for a medical regime or adult use markets, and we expect that trend to continue. What's really absent and unique to our situation in Canada, where we've got a federal program allows us to fully participate in the cannabis space in Canada. We just don't have that in the U.S. yet. And I think what we're anticipating is some type of federal permissibility that provides a structure across the country that allows us to more fully participate in the market. but also gives consumers and operators a level of standardization across the states where it becomes a little bit easier to do business in multiple states. It is tough operating for those that do operate in the U.S. In the state-by-state type program that they have to set up. So we anticipate changes there, but the truth is, at the consumer level and the citizen level, we see just really strong polling and support for legalization and permissibility of some kind at the federal level. We think that's the next big wave to come out of DC, hopefully sooner than later.
Terrific. And then one of our last couple of questions here, looking at this from a regulation standpoint and looking at that perspective of things, how is Canopy preparing for federal permissibility? How do you expect the industry to change when that comes about?
There's a few things we already have in place, and I think some things that we'll continue to do. First, we already have existing relationships with some operators in the U.S., both through our investments in Acreage Holdings, as well as TerraSen, and our most recently announced relationship with Wana Brands. Those are things that we'll continue to nurture and monitor and try to enable as best we can. We're also doing preparation on taking some of the brands and products that we have in the legal Canadian market and preparing those to be able to license them down into U.S. operators. Some of the partners that I already mentioned, and then I think even things like Whistle, there's probably some innovation and some technology that we developed for our CBD products that will be applicable to the legal cannabis market, and that's where we'll try to make sure we're bringing in those innovations and translating them into THC products where applicable. And then it goes without saying, but our relationship with Constellation Brands is pretty unique, and it gives us access to both thought leadership as well as just expertise in certain areas, whether it's building out beverage capabilities or really understanding how to build a distribution network in a highly regulated market. Leaning on Constellation for that type of help and support and guidance has always been there for us, and it will continue to be in the U.S. cannabis market.
Outstanding. Andy, we've really enjoyed the time. A final question for you as we take a large-scale kind of full board look at this. What's next for Canopy in the U.S.? And to get really specific with it, when we look at the horizon, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or over 2022, what should be on the radar for investors, our audience? What should we be looking for from Canopy coming up next?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're really focused and dedicated to unleash the power of cannabis to improve lives. It's what gets me out of bed every day. And I think that we're really focused on doing that in the most wholesome way in the U.S. cannabis market. One area we're laser focused on is being ready for permissibility as soon as it happens. So hence me coming into this new role and sort of an intensified focus on preparation. But we're constantly looking for new innovative ways to bring our brands and our products to market through some of our existing partners, even before permissibility. So that's a way where I think we've got a differentiated ecosystem we've established in the U.S. I look forward to leveraging that and making sure that we can even start to seed our brands ahead of permissibility through some of those partners. Those are some real key areas of focus for us and things that investors should be looking out for as the months roll on going into 2022. I think we'll see a lot of activity around legalization and permissibility efforts in DC, but we're not sitting around waiting for that. We're busy getting prepared and getting to launch some of the brands that we already have in Canada down to the U.S.
We can't wait to see what's next from Canopy Growth once they're able to fully unleash the power of cannabis in the U.S. market. Andy Lytwynec, Vice President of the U.S. Cannabis Portfolio for Canopy Growth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.